Good morning. I'm going to call this meeting of the Sweetwater City Council to order, and we'll ask our interim Chief of Police, Corey Stroman, to do the invocation, and Councilman McPherson to lead us in the pledge.
Good morning. We'll pray with me. Heavenly Father, we come to you in prayer this morning, and first we're just so grateful to live in this community, to be blessed with all of the wonderful things that you give us. We thank you for the rain that we have received here lately. Thank you for just the blessing it is to our land, to our community. Lord, this morning we lift up the communities that are struggling. We pray that you would be with our fellow Texans across the state who are struggling with floods, and the water that's been such a blessing to us has not been such a blessing to them. And so we lift up all of those communities, all of those families who are either seeking answers or getting devastating news. But we just pray for your strength and your peace over each of those. Lord, we also lift up the first responders who are tirelessly working out there, the game wardens, the fire departments, the police departments, all of the rescue teams, and particularly the recovery teams. What is already a heavy job has become so much heavier these last few days for them. So we also pray for your peace and healing over those individuals. Lord, we pray that you would be with this meeting this morning, that you will continue to bless our community, bless the leaders, and we thank you for their willingness to serve, and just pray that your will would guide this meeting, that you would continue to bless our community, and that as a community we continue to serve and look to you. These things pray in your name.
Amen. Please join me in saying the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you. Okay, going to item 4, we will discuss and consider and act upon approval of the minutes for the meeting held on June 10th, 2025.
Make a motion, we approve the minutes.
Second.
The motion.
Okay, have a motion and a second. If there's no discussion, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And the minutes are approved. Item number 5, calls for public input at this time. Anyone is allowed to speak on any matter other than personnel matters or matters under litigation for the length of time not to exceed 3 minutes. No council discussion or action may take place on the matter until such matter has been placed on the agenda and posted. Is there anyone who wishes to speak? Okay, if not, we'll move on. Item 6A, to discuss and consider and act upon the reappointments of Mr. Gil Cherry, Mr. Larry Ludlam, Mr. Jeff Stein, and Mr. Jason Reeves, and the appointment of Mr. Reese Dunnigan as a new regular commission member with Mr. Mike Marlett and Mr. Terry Bennett, as 2 new alternates on the Planning and Zoning Commission. Any questions for Dustin?
Make a motion, we approve the reappointments.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion is approved. These appointments are made. Item 6B, which is a joint presentation with City Council and Planning and Zoning Commission from Bestra Muniarzi, Director of Planning and Development Services, on the proposed zoning district maps and zoning ordinance update status. Good morning, Bestra.
Good morning, Council, and good morning to our new Planning and Zoning Commission. Good morning, staff. My name is Besta Muniarzi, so I have a different accent, so you might need to listen very carefully. Otherwise, you will miss some important information. But this morning, I'm here to present the zoning ordinance. As you know, you all have been going through the update of the zoning ordinance. And this morning, the focus is mainly on the proposed zoning districts. You have done quite a bit of the work already And I'm just here to present the proposed. Again, I want to emphasize the word proposed because we are not coming to say this is what it is, but we are coming before you so that way you may give us some feedback. So this morning the intent is for me to give you the update because I know that it has been a few months before you could hear what is happening, and also of course to give you a presentation on the proposed zoning districts. I would also want to hear feedback from you. That's the main intent, so that I can hear from you, the council, as well as the Planning and Zoning Commission. And then I will give you the next timeline of what is going to happen until these zoning ordinances are adopted. So a lot has happened already. As you know, that KIST is the consultant, and I've been working with them since I came on board. And a lot has happened in terms of in-person meetings and virtual meetings with the administrative working group, as well as stakeholders. And there was in-person and virtual meetings with the Planning and Zoning Commission, as well as the City Council. There was also a joint meeting that was held before with the City Council and Planning and Zoning meetings. An open house PowerPoint presentation was done, and virtual meetings with myself when I came on board. I was trying to get to speed with what had been done and what was happening, and also the drafting of the ordinance itself. So that those are the things that have happened so far, and right now we do have a draft zoning ordinance, and today I'm presenting, like I said again, the proposed zoning district. So you may want to ask, or maybe let me refresh your memory on what we have learned maybe so far about what it is and why it is. So the zoning ordinance or the zoning districts, they are there to break the properties or land in the city into areas called zoning districts. So the city is broken into residential, commercial, or industrial. This is what we call zoning districts. And these zoning districts are important in that they tell you what is allowed, and they tell you what is allowed by conditions, because there are some things that we may feel like, yeah, they are nice, but there are certain conditions that have to be met. There are also some that we are just so limited, and there are some that are completely prohibited, depending on the zoning district. And these zoning districts also, they give us some dimensional standards, which are like the lot size, the width, the length. They give us setbacks. They give us a lot coverage, the building size, the building height, and number of stories, etc. So this is the current zoning map that we have, and this current zoning map is 14 zoning districts. And it is my understanding that the desire was for these zoning districts to be limited, as not limited, but reduced. So right now we do have those 14 zoning districts. And in 2022, the city adopted the comprehensive plan. And with the comprehensive plan, one of the elements of the comprehensive plan is the future land use map. The future land use map tells you the ideal. If all goes well, this is how we want our city to look like. This is like the big picture of what the city looks like. So this is what the residents, as well as the officials in this city adopted way in 2022. This is what you are seeing right here. So it shows you some of the things that the city says, yeah, let this one be industrial, let this area be residential, let this area be commercial, etc. So this is what was adopted. So now you say, how does that relate to what we are doing now? What we are doing now, because once you adopt a big picture, that future land use, now you have to go back and update your zoning ordinance so that it may be consistent with the future. Because the zoning map is what we use right now. If someone comes into the city and they say, I want to do this, we go to the zoning ordinance. Is it consistent with our zoning ordinance? If it is not, then we go to the future. Is this painting the picture that we have painted? Is this aligning with what the city wants? So this is the zoning ordinance. Now we want to align with what the city already adopted, which is the future land use map. So this zoning ordinance, the zoning districts, they are there to now align with what the the city has said, this is what we want. So this is what we are doing now. And this proposed the proposed zoning districts, they have 9. The initial one, the current one is 14, but because the city said we want less zoning districts, now we have 9 instead of 14. And of those 9, we have 3 that are residential. The previous one had about 6 or so different residential zonings, but this one is 9 of them. So we can talk about this if you want more information, but I'm trying to make sure that I don't take too long. So we do have other information on this with the zoning districts. There is what we are calling infill overlay. There are certain areas that were marked even with the future land use map that they say there is need for us to do some infill development. And this infill, what it does is that instead of asking, because these are areas that we are saying, well, they can use more because maybe there are lots that are not developed. So we are trying to encourage development or redevelopment of those properties. So there's areas, if you look on the future land use, there are areas that were designated for infill development. So this is where this is coming from, the infill. So also for that infill, we want to encourage development, we want to encourage redevelopment, we want to have flexible uses, so that way we are not like it just has to be this, and if it's not this, it's not going to happen. We are trying to be flexible so that we can have more development. But with these proposed zoning districts, what is going to happen is that there are certain things that are not going to be in conformity. Because now we are saying, yes, this is what we have, but this is where we want to go. But with that, as you know, if you are going to change, say for some of us, let me talk some things that are, if I want to say, okay, I want to lose weight, guess what, my clothes are going to be big. And I may need to start buying new clothes, right? So same thing there are some things that are right now. It may be signs, it may be land uses, it may be lot size, that when we adopt the new zoning map, we are going to see that some things are not going to be conforming because something new has been adopted. So we are going to have a lot of uses that are not going to be in conformity. We are going to have a lot of structures that are not going to be conforming. We are going to have lots and signs and even parking, because parking may be asking for more parking spaces, and some properties currently they may not have those more parking spaces. But the good news is that we are not going to just say, because yours is no longer. No, we are not going to do that. As long as that use is not going to expand. Because what we don't want is to expand uses that are no longer conforming, because then there's no point for us to make any changes. If we are going to just say, you know what, continue like that and even expand, because then we are not going to go to the ideal future land use that the city has said we want. But what we are going to do is to just let those uses, those structures continue, but they cannot expand. That's the whole purpose. If they are going to expand now, they have to meet the new regulations, the new zoning. That's if they are going to make any changes, now it has to comply. But if they don't, they're just going to make inside changes and they are painting the building, and no problem, they will continue. The problem will come when they want to make substantial changes. Because if you are going to make any substantial change, we want those changes to make sure that they are now complying with what the city wants to look like, with what the city said, this is what we want, this is the ideal Sweetwater. So that is what is going to happen. So I wanted to make sure that I mentioned that there are some properties that are going to be non-conforming. But it is because we are adopting something new, something that is leading the city to where the city wants to go. Okay, so let me talk about the next steps. I'm rushing so that way I can give you all time to ask me all questions. So this morning, if you guys give me some things that you say, no, Bester, we want this, we don't want this, we want on the zoning map, Because the zoning may even be affecting your own property right now, for those of us who have properties here. It may be affecting you, so you want to really make sure that the things that we are saying are things that you want to see as well, but above all, we have to know that it has to align with what the city has already adopted, which is the future land use map. So if you give me some changes that you are proposing, then I'm gonna, talk to the consultant and say, okay, here is what the feedback that I get from the city council and the planning and zoning commission. Here is what we need to do. And then the process that is required by the state is that we needed to do this meeting today, so that way you don't hear it from the residents. Say, oh, this is what is happening before you all know it. We wanted to give you this information first, so that way we can then proceed as required by the state to engage the public, the residents, because we have to engage them and let them know what is happening. They have to be involved fully. So I'm proposing that we do the meeting in August. We have our daytime from 9, say, to about 11. And then we have also evening time for those who are not able to come during the day. And if needed, we can also have a weekend time for those who say, no, I have kids after work, I have to go home. But, we want to give everyone an opportunity to give us their feedback. And after that, the process also requires that we have a public hearing. And this will have to go through the Planning and Zoning first, Planning and Zoning Commission, because they are the ones who are supposed to make a recommendation to the City Council. And then the City Council will hold another public hearing to adopt that the whole not just the zoning map, but the whole zoning ordinance. So that's where we are, that's where things are. But I want to go back to the proposal. I didn't talk about this one, maybe talk about. There's also the overlay zoning. This overlay zoning is, we do have the best zoning. Like if you look along I-20, right here.
It won't work on a TV.
It will not. Anyway, if you see along I-20, it will show you that it's RC, which is regional commercial. So that is the best zoning for all the properties along I-20. But you see that we also have an overlay. An overlay is over and above the best. There are certain things, certain features that we want to see. And this overlay also is there. If you can see that there is one along I-20, one along Broadway, and one along Haley. Those are the main gateways into the city. So we want them to look good, because this is the face, especially I-20. That's the face of the city. And most of us, we take time to make sure that our faces are looking at least okay before we show up anywhere we are going. So this is the face of Sweetwater. This is why we had to put it overlay, so that way we have those features that are over and above, so that they look, the best that they can look for the sake of the city. So that's why we have all those overlay districts, overlay areas that are along Broadway, I-20, and Haley. So that is what is happening. So again, here is our proposed zoning districts. So if there is anyone with a person, if you guys want to give me feedback, you can do it now, or if you want to sleep over it, you can always email me, but I need your feedback. Let's work together and let's make Sweetwater. So if there is any questions to me, if you didn't understand anything, I get excited when I'm talking about planning. So I may mumble some things and you are like, what is she talking about? Please, I'll be very glad to repeat, but I need to hear from you that this is where we are, this is where we are going. So, and I have already told you about the timeline of all this, because I know a lot of people are ready to get this thing going. It is good because then we do have some things that are being proposed that the city doesn't have, that we really need things like a site plan. We have someone doing development, we do have landscape requirements, which I am very big on, because this is what makes the city beautiful. When we have people knowing that they have to put shrubs and flowers, and especially this summer, it will be beautiful. We have a lot of things, so we really need to break this down. That's why I'm proposing that kind of schedule. Engagements next month, public engagement next month. In September, we have our planning and zoning commission. In October, hopefully, we have the city council adopting the zoning ordinance. This is what I had to share with you, and I'm here to answer questions. If any doubt, please feel free to talk to me.
Okay. Lester, thank you. Your hard work and enthusiasm showed through. If no questions? Thank you, ma'am. All right, this time we will move on to item 6B, which is to discuss and consider and act upon approving the quarterly investment report for the quarter ending June 30th, 2025. Any questions for Chris?
I move we approve the quarterly investment report.
I'll second.
Have a motion and a second. If there's no further discussion, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries and the investment report is approved. Item 6D, we will receive insurance proposals for health, dental, and vision benefits for fiscal year 2025-26, which were opened on Monday, July 7th, 2025. And our staff's going to work with our broker of record to evaluate the proposals. And so Nancy and Trent, I believe we've got your homework for you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Item 6E, discuss and consider and act upon curative documents and a quitclaim deed presented by Sweetwater Title Company related to real estate property located at Lot 456, Block 77 of the Highland Edition of the City of Sweetwater. That address is 1109 West Colorado Avenue. Does council have any questions? I will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion, we consider and act upon the curative documents of quit claim deed presented by Sweetwater Title Company.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And the motion is approved. Item 6F, which is to discuss and consider and act upon reappointment of Mr. Terry Bennett, Mr. Mike Marlett, Mr. Keith Brock, and Mr. Gil Cherry, and Mr. Doug Alexander, Mr. Scott Morgan as an alternative, and the appointment of Mr. Ronnie Hatfield as a new alternate to serve on the Board of Adjustment. Any questions from the council?
I'll make a motion, we reappoint and appoint Ronnie Hatfield as a new alternate to serve on the Board of Adjustments.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. If there's no further discussion, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? These appointments and reappointments are approved. Now move on to item 6G, which is to enter into a public hearing and act upon an ordinance approving abandonment of city street of right-of-way as described, a portion of undeveloped street right-of-way between lots 7 and 8 of the Sweetwater Industrial Park Addition recorded in Plat Cabinet Slide 234A, Plat Records, Nolan County, Texas. Do I have a motion to enter into public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
Who made that motion? Okay. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, we are now in public hearing. Is there anyone who wishes to speak for or against this item? Do I have a motion to close public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor of closing the public hearing, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, we are now back to regular session. Do I have a motion approving the ordinance for the abandonment of city street right-of-way as described?
Make a motion. As described.
I'll second the
Have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And so the ordinance is approved. and I will read into the record an ordinance determining the necessity of vacating the following city street right-of-way described as a portion of undeveloped street right-of-way between lots 7 and 8 of the Sweetwater Industrial Park Addition recorded in Plat Cabinet Slide 234A, Plat Records, Nolan County, Texas. Item 6H, to discuss and consider and act upon orders declaring structures on described properties within City of Sweetwater, Texas, to be dilapidated and/or deteriorated and unfit for human habitation so as to require repair, rehabilitation, or demolition, providing a time with which to rehabilitate, repair, or demolish such structures, and providing for the repair, rehabilitation, or demolition and removal which requires a public hearing. At this time, Becky Jimenez, City Secretary, will swear in Bester Munyardzi, Director of Planning and Development Services, and Robert Soto, Code Enforcement Officer, for their testimony regarding the following properties.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony that you're about to give in my opinion for the city council is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Okay, this time I'll entertain a motion to enter into public hearing for 114 West Broadway Avenue. Do I have a motion for
Make
public
a
hearing?
motion, we,
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we are now in public hearing.
So, 114 West Broadway is the building adjacent or next to 112, which was already recommended for demolition. And this building is also in a substandard. And we did send a letter out on May 14, 30-day later, asking the property owner to respond in terms of rehabilitating or demolishing the property. We didn't hear from them. We did send the second letter on June 24. The 10-day later, of course, we know that this is the property that is owned by Miss Victoria, the late Miss Victoria. So nobody has responded to us now on both the 30-day as well as the 10-day letter that we sent out. So staff is recommending that this building be demolished together with the 112 that we have already acted.
The only question is, are we gonna physically do it, or are you gonna hire somebody to tear it down?
We will have to have someone do it.
Okay.
We have to do a bid.
Any further questions? We have a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, we're now back in regular session. Do I have a motion for declaration of dilapidation and/or deterioration and unfit for human habitation in order repair, rehabilitation, or demolition of 114 West Broadway Avenue within 35 days of the date of order?
Make a motion.
Second.
No further discussion. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries to order rehabilitation, repair, rehabilitation, or demolition of 114 West Broadway within 35 days. Do I have a motion to open public hearing for 107 Robert Lee Street?
I make a motion, we open for 107 Robert Lee Street.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, we are now in a public hearing. Is there anyone who wishes to speak to the property at 107 Robert Lee Street?
Morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
107 Robert Lee Street is very dilapidated. We sent the letter out March 6th to the property owners, saying, before 30 days, with no response. So we sent the second council meeting on June 24th with no response as well, and we're staff is recommending tear the property down to
Are these property owners local?
sorry.
Are they local or out of town?
No, they're out of
New Mexico.
Santa Fe, New Mexico.
Okay.
And we've had issues with this property many times with no response. We've had squatters in there and we're gonna have to remove them.
Okay. Anyone else want to speak on this property? I will entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And that public hearing is closed. Do I have a motion for declaration of dilapidation and or deterioration and unfit for human habitation in order repair, rehabilitation, or demolition of 107 Robert Lee Street within 35 days?
I make a motion we demolish 107 Robert Lee Street.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries to order the repair, rehabilitation, or demolition of 107 Robert Lee Street within 35 days of date of order. Now move on to item 6I, which is to discuss, consider, and act upon a resolution of the City of Sweetwater suspending the July 31st, 2025 effective date of Encore Electric Delivery Company's requested rate change to permit the city time to study the request and to establish reasonable rates, approving cooperation with the steering committee of cities served by Encore to hire legal and consulting services and to negotiate with the company and direct any necessary litigation and appeals, finding that the meeting at which this resolution is passed is open to the public as required by law, requiring notice of this resolution to the company and legal counsel for the steering committee. Do you have any questions for Becky?
I make a motion we consider and act upon a resolution of the City of Sweetwater suspending the July 31st, 2025 effective date of Encore Electric Delivery Company's requested rate change to permit the city time to study the request and to establish reasonable rates, including cooperation with the steering committee of cities served by Encore to hire legal and consulting services and to negotiate with the company and direct any necessary litigation and appeals.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. And now we'll read it into the record. Resolution of the City of Sweetwater suspending the July 31st, 2025 effective date of Encore Electric Delivery Company's requested rate change to permit the city time to study the request and establish reasonable rates, approving cooperation with the steering committee of cities served by Encore to hire legal and consulting services and to negotiate with the company and direct any necessary litigation and appeals, finding the meeting at which this resolution is passed is open to the public as required by law, requiring notice of this resolution to the company and legal counsel for the steering committee. Item 6J, discuss and consider and act upon approving an ordinance with proposed amendments to Chapter 18, Article 3, Freight and Portable Storage Containers of the City's Code of Ordinance. Do we have any questions?
Is this to allow them to come into the city, or is this to keep them out of the city?
This is
commercial.
to loosen some of the requirements. This ordinance goes back quite some time to when it was after there was an oil boom in South Texas, and the city staff at that time saw how these seed containers were being used rather randomly even for housing, and we at that time there was a potential for similar activity here in Sweetwater, and so there was restrictions placed on the use of these freight containers within the city. And with time, I've considered it maybe a little bit too restrictive, and we've had a request from a new business. They were approached by code enforcement concerning a sea container that they have on their property, and they were asking if the city could make any allowances for it. Bester, do you have any comments?
Well, like you said again, that I find this specialist the face of our Sweetwater. So whatever we can do to make sure that we are not allowing things or uses that are not will not give a good impression about the city. So in as much as we want to accommodate businesses, we have to do it in such a way that we also look good at the end of the day. So we have proposed some things that can be done if the city council choose to allow these containers. Otherwise, our initial initial thoughts will be not to allow them, especially along I-20. But if the city chooses, the city council chooses to allow them, we want them to be screened with materials that may match the main building, so that way at least it looks nice and acceptable. Also the location, if it can be at the back where it's not like you can see it from public streets, that will also be recommended.
Now, they're gonna fence this one off, that was kind of my understanding. It's not gonna be just sitting out there like this, correct? They're gonna camouflage it?
Yeah, so if you as city council pass that requirement, that is something that we will pass on to the property owner to do.
This is, things stand now, this unit would be considered non-compliant with our current ordinance.
Right.
It's actually not allowed because they are only allowed in KM and L, which are industrial and manufacturing districts. Right now, the city doesn't, the ordinance doesn't allow them in commercial districts like this.
Well, like Slotsky's has a container behind their building. Is it in code? Is it,
No, not all the containers that
that's
you
what I
see.
say, that's been there forever.
Yes, so this is what I was talking about also with the zoning ordinance. There are some things that are right now that are not supposed to. So, but if the city council passes certain ordinances, that means code can go and enforce that kind of ordinance.
With the council's permission, may I suggest an ordinance change, an amendment? And read as a motion to amend section 1847 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Sweetwater to allow zoning districts F, G, H, and I to be added to the zoning districts allowed to use freight containers or portable storage containers as an accessory structure or building, provided that all freight and storage containers are visually screened. The screening material is a minimum of 6 feet high and must be taller than the container building being screened and painted to match the primary structure. Freight and portable containers are located to the rear or side of the primary property. Freight and storage containers are not allowed in required parking spaces.
I move we approve the ordinance change.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, the motion to amend the ordinance is approved. And I will now read it into the record. A motion to amend section 1847 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Sweetwater to allow zoning districts F, G, H, and I to be added to the zoning district allowed to use freight containers or portable storage containers as an accessory storage building or accessory storage structure or building, provided that all freight and portable containers are visually screened. The screening material is a minimum 6 feet high and must be taller than the container building being screened and painted to match the primary structure. Freight and portable storage buildings are to be located to the rear side of the property. Primary building, freight and storage containers are not located in required parking spaces. City Manager's report.
Okay, the municipal pool will be closing August 10th, 2025. Big shout out to Dan and his crew, keeping the pool going all summer and the splash pad. Police Department on June 20th, 2025, Officers Ryan Georges and Kobe Compton were officially sworn into the ranks of the Sweetwater Police Department, marking their completion of the Long Academy training process and officially making them part of the patrol division of the Sweetwater Police Department. Ryan and Kobe have both been working for approximately 8 months to complete their basic Peace Officers Academy. They were sworn in by Chief Stroman and had their badges pinned by their spouses, as you can see on the screen there. Okay. Update on SNAP Summer Fan Drive. The SNAP Director finished fulfilling a request on Friday and has donations remaining that can still be used to purchase more. Trinity Baptist Church Vacation Bible School really kicked off the whole thing with a donation of 34 fans. So thank you to Trinity. They raised nearly $1,000 for the fan drive. They purchased and delivered them to SNAP as well. SNAP received $670 in cash donations on top of what Trinity collected. So thank you to Trinity once again.
That concludes your report?
It does, yes, sir.
Okay, very good, thank you. Now move on to item 8, which is to enter into closed session pursuant to section 551.071 and 551.087 of the Texas Governmental Code, consultation with attorney and discussion of economic incentives. Closed meeting, the city council will meet in closed session to consult with its attorney on the matter which the duty of the attorney to the city council under the Texas Disciplinary Rules of Professional Conduct of the state of Texas clearly conflicts with this chapter, to which the legal position of the city. And I'll ask for a motion to enter into closed session.
I move we enter into closed session.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.